show to a couple of our amazing moderators. Uh,
Wow.
One is Anurag, whom you're able to see on the
I
screen.
can see him, the
Hello,
handsome
sir.
boy.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a compliment. You made my day.
Nice, thank
Well,
you.
to tell you about Anurag, he himself is the CEO, founder of an amazing psychometric training organization uh,
Wow.
out there. The name of it is Columbia Maxim. It's based
Okay.
in Nagpur, and
Okay.
but then he goes all over the country taking
Okay.
his brand across. And
Okay.
then, of course, the other person who will be moderating this along with Anurag is Divya David.
Wow. He's so dynamic.
And she is from Mumbai.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and she is quite an amazing trainer herself. And so, guys, yeah, yeah, you guys can take over, Anurag and
Yeah.
Divya. The show is all yours, guys. Take
A very warm welcome to everyone to Coffee with TF, a weekly program by Training Frat. Let me introduce to you our guest for today. He has 26 years of experience as an OD consultant, motivational speaker, corporate trainer, coach, professor. He has a PhD in occupational stress management, a certified life coach and therapist, a gold medalist from NIPM SP Mishra for excellence in HR. He was also the former director of a leading business school, and presently he is the co-founder of Twaran. It is my privilege to introduce to all of you today Dr. Mangesh Das. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
So we would like to get your perspective on few areas and ask you a few questions which are like related to the training industry.
Correct.
So yeah, so thank you, sir. So our first question to you is like, how do you judge the effectiveness of a trainer?
Wonderful. I tell you, when I began my journey as a trainer during, I think it was 1996, that moment, an effective trainer was a trainer who was active, not passive. So before that, trainers were just coming, they will be discussing something and all. Then a benchmark was set up. If somebody is active, somebody has a lot of vibration, a lot of energy on the stage, they can consider to be a very good trainer. Then a phase came in. When they say a trainer being active is not a good trainer, the trainer has to be interactive. That means he has to make the audience gets involved. And I found that continued for some time. Then a phase came. They say only a trainer, if his interactive is not good enough, he has to be reflective. That means it's not that he only asks questions to get the interaction on. Rather, everything he is doing, if participants that connect to the real life situation, he is being considered to be an amazing trainer. And that journey continued. Then I found something came up. They say, only being reflective is not a good trainer. Rather, you have to be developmental. That means these 2 days or 3 days that you conduct a training program, the company has handed you over certain superb high potential executives. Can you bring in some transformation through your intervention so they understand the trainer must know certain human development practices? And recently, I think about 2015 and 16 onwards, I find companies' demand on trainer has been little changed. I give an example from there I can talk about. There is a pharmaceutical company whose base is from Bangalore. They have an establishment in Bombay. In 2016, I met their head of HR, who was from a very reputed business school of India, and which is being known for its HR. And he was asking me, "You got to train my people who are high potential salespeople, and tell me what you are going to do." Then I was telling this game, that game, this activity. I was narrating my training process. He told, "All my employees have learned this. They have played games and all. What's new with you?" I told, "What is your expectation?" He told, "People come and tell me that by end of 3 months, whatever training we are giving today, by end of 3 months, with the Kilpatrick model, those people would have developed. Can you do something by which within these 2 days, there will be a development. When I heard of that for the first time, I understood industry demand is changing. And frequently after that, I found certain of the big houses of India, they have been demanding like this. They say, 2 days we are giving you, 2 man days and so many people, so you can calculate the number of hours. We want at the end of the training, they should be developed. So I discovered companies are today discussing about something called as only being developmental as a trainer is not good enough. Rather, you got to be therapeutic. That means training is a 2 days group therapy kind of things even we are today running. Therefore, where neuro-linguistic programming is actually playing a very big role. So I have seen the journey changing, like from passive to active, from active to interactive, from interactive to reflective, from reflective to developmental, and from developmental to therapeutic. And today, because of COVID, some new roles are also coming up. So I see this journey and the effectiveness of trainer has been evaluated by corporates in a very unique way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your response, sir. We actually got so much of information in just 1 minute.
That was fantastic insight over the transformation you just told in some simple words. Once again, I just wanted to, welcome you for the show. And I would like to ask another question. As every trainer is very curious about the compensation, what he expects from the corporates or the companies. So I would like to ask, how much funds does companies or corporate allocate for the training?
Okay, so what happens, every corporate have their own structure. Some of the corporates, they allot about 2%, some of the corporate allot more depending on what kind of a operation they're into. And some of the corporate, what they do, if they keep about 9% as the total manpower cost, within that they take a percentage. So the equation actually varies from corporate to corporate. And where happens, corporates also decide on a parameter which trainer should get what. And as you know, when corporate hires a trainer, they also calculate what is the number of years of experience, what is the capability the trainer has got, where the trainer is. Little expansive way I can talk about it. There was a time when, for a communication training program, I talk about a year, maybe 2001, 2002, we as trainers were asking an industry on an average, about 15,000 rupees per day. Then a time came about a communication training program, even trainers were asking about 40,000 rupees per day. Today you will find a communication trainer even doesn't get more than 10,000 rupees a day. So you will find at a particular period, the price was high. Today the price for the same program is low. And this happens with the equation of demand and supply and the caliber of the trainer to bring in change. Therefore, whether the trainer is in the evaluator state, it's a very beginning state of the career, or maybe he is a newbie, or maybe he is wondering which area I should be going. So he picks up any area and he gives a training program, or from there, maybe he is evaluating a domain and working on it. And when he goes to the next level, which is called as he is a rising star, that he is being known by many corporates, people talk about him. So these 3 levels, like rising star to star, and then to, we say, trainer who is a master, and then a pioneer. So this level is the level when industries, they look at it and they see that as per the allocated budget, how they can actually collaborate with the trainer. So this may be something which might throw light on this.
Was fantastic insight over the topic.
So it was really interesting how you gave us such a frank response of everything. So we have a complete idea of what it is like from an HR perspective. I just have one more question for you. So usually, what is the budget allocated for an external trainer? Not the in trainers in the company, but an external trainer.
Budget allocated, I tell you how it goes. There is a complete calculation. Generally, companies, they actually do it. Some of the companies, they do the allocation as per the turnover. They say, if my turnover, I may not name some of the companies, I can tell how much budget they have allocated and it all. I may not name some of the companies. So what happens, the calculation that companies, they do, they find out what is the turnover the company is expecting. Out of that, who are the people who can be trainable? Then what the company does, there are 2 ways they make. Some of the companies, they make a forward integration. Some of the companies, they make a backward integration. Like suppose forward integration, how they do go about. After performance appraisal, when the need analysis is being done, I'm not giving a particular number because this is very essential for us to understand how budget is being allocated. So after the performance appraisal, when the need is being done, employees, they give what areas they want the training programs, they calculate what is the number of people or the number of manpower or the number of employees they are to be trained and what are the topics. So they calculate actually a manpower engagement. Then they fix up a budget. Suppose they are going for say 20 kind of training programs in a year. Then they make an average that we will be paying for Monday, say about 30,000 rupees to the trainer, the hotel budget and all, like that they calculate. So this is called as forward kind of a thinking. And some companies, they generally allocate about maybe 1.5% direct of the revenue and they keep it for the training budget. And some companies, they actually make a running, incurring kind of an expenses. I was once doing an audit for a training budget, complete training process for a company who are into entertainment industry. And I happened to see that the revenue of the company was almost about about 100 crore when the company was up at a budget or some plus minus to that, and they had a budget allocation of about 2.5 crores, which has been given to a very renowned company of India. And they what they do as the number of times people they go for a training, and they also ask for a recapitulation training and all. Accordingly, they make about 10-15% budget allocation. So on an average, you can say about 1.5% of the turnover, if that is easy to understand, companies they do. And many companies, they go with a running progressive allotment kind of thing they do.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a lot of information, and very, very important information for all of us as trainers. Thank you so much.
Actually, in this fraternity, we have trainers from different domains. And everybody would like to know, as an HR perspective, what is the average code the trainer generally charges for the soft skill training and the motivational based training?
Okay, this is a very interesting perspective, I tell you. So generally, if I talk about the topics can be general topics, specialized topics, unique topics, and something which is called completely tailor-made high-end topics. For general topics, before COVID, I talk about the pricing that market was giving. I talk about communication skill, grooming, like that. Those are called as, which is the basics everybody needs to do. And there are a lot of trainers available for that. And surprisingly, I have seen certain renowned organizations, their pricing was about 5,000 rupees per day. So because some of my friends are in HR, so I could understand what is the price range goes. So it was somewhere varying from 5,000 rupees to maybe around 20,000 rupees per day, with an average batch of about 20 to 25 people. And then there are certain little specialized training which are common, which are maybe sales or maybe something called as a leadership. So certain mid-level leadership, certain specialized topics. The company had a budget of around say 20,000 rupees to around 50,000 rupees per day kind of thing. And then little specialized topics, highly specialized topics that you can talk about, or maybe unique, like design thinking, like neuro-linguistic programming. Then theater learning, like certain training programs like that. Maybe outbound is a part of that, and certain training programs which was being done by the companies, they maybe had a range of about 50,000 to a lakh of rupees per day, and which are completely tailor-made, very output-oriented training programs. Like we have been doing certain training for some companies. They say you take it for about 90 days or maybe 120 days, do it as an OD intervention, and there the packaging is a bit different. There the package, the companies, they offer maybe per trainer or per training house that goes on particular areas about 5 to 6 lakh rupees on an average, and then they give you certain result orientations also. They say complete from end to end you will be doing, and this is the result you are going to give. So that's why a good trainer for training industry, the price may vary from 5,000 rupees per day to about 1 lakh or 1,50,000 or 1,50,000 rupees per day. So that was the price range in which the industry was operating. For motivational talks, the price I have seen which industries have been giving on an average about 5,000 rupees per hour to about 50,000 rupees per hour, or maybe there are trainers who speak for, speakers, those that speak for 2.5 hours, and I know companies have given about 7 lakh rupees to them. That's why, it depends on how much you are popular and you have gone in, and how much you are connected. Do you have any book in your account? A lot of things companies, they evaluate. And ultimately, the word of mouth also spreads a lot.
Fantastic. It's going to help us a lot. So now it's time for open forum.
Hello, very good evening, sir. I am
Hi.
Rohini from, hello. I am Rohini from Biani Consultant Limited. I'm working as a HR manager from last 10 years with this
Okay.
company. I have only one question related to today's scenario due to the COVID-19. Most of the employees are going on layoff.
Yeah.
So you can suggest how they're going to build up motivate themselves and to like prepare themselves for the interview and the future prospectus. Would you like to give some suggestions on this? How they're going to
Absolutely.
handle?
On behalf of the employees who are going under layoff, right?
Yeah, correct. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I tell you, recently we have launched a course which is called as Certified Goal Setting Coach. So a lot of
Okay.
people are doing this course because they know that at this moment, people they look for directions to set up their life. And goal setting is something which is really is a requirement of the future, because I was seeing a lot of articles are coming on that. Some certain surveys are happening. Even a lot of news channels are very vocal about it, both India and international. Coming back to the part of an employee, when they keep up their own tempo, how they should be approaching industries or how they are going to handle this moment of layoff. Generally, I think a lot of news channels are talking about, a lot of channels like this are talking about today, which is called as a mental resilience.
Mhm.
We have seen people have got enormous skills, competencies, they
Okay,
handle
right.
it well. And when we talk about competencies, we say all the three things: knowledge, skills, and attitude. Should now, when the layoff has happened, knowledge and skills have not changed. What was hit upon is the attitude of the person. That means the person is knowledgeable skills, where he is being hit upon is that mental resilience of that belief of getting bounced back. So there are techniques, mostly I tell you, in neurolinguistic programming, we have processes where the person can actually uphold his or her mental resilience to the highest degree till the person gets employed. So what it is being done, we have seen that like the trend, as you are in HR, you must be knowing the kind of trend which is coming up is the nature of job is under a change. It's not that all the people they will remain unemployed or it will be happening. The perspective of the job space is under a reconstructions. Companies are thinking that some of the people they will be working from home, some of the people are laid off. Now if the people who are working from home, our CLEL policy will change, because since they are coming to the organizations regularly, so we had a established CLEL policy. Now when people will be working from home for a long time, maybe the CLEL policy will change. So there is a reconstruction is happening. So what happens, every employee who is being laid off, they must uphold that belief in themselves that once it gets stabilized, the path will open. Like I tell you, when I left my job in 2012, floated my company in 2013, I decided to become an entrepreneur and quit my job. And about 1.5 years was a very challenging life for me, because I was a brand in my area, left, had a businessman, I was a struggling businessman. So, for that 1.5 years, lot of resilience I have done to myself, so that I should not allow myself to feel down. Similarly, mental resilience is something I think everybody should work on. And India, you must be knowing, out of the world's percentage, India has got a highest percentage where people's mental resilience is not very effective. That's why maybe the help of counselors, coaches, mentees will be there to handle this situation. And when they go back to interview, if they can actually browse something which is called as a circle of excellence as a technique, they may use it, or maybe certain anchoring processes, or maybe a swish as a technique, which will help them a lot to keep that mental resilience till the interview. And in the interview, if they're getting something somewhere, they should think that the industry is also under a reconstruction. That's not to be much of worried. Rather, they have to again understand that my skill and knowledge is upheld. So then why not to keep my attitude once again positive? So if one event gets you down, then your competency was not strengthened. Rather, just your skills were strengthened. So this belief they have to bring in. And yes, the close friends, the group, the mentor, they are about to play a big role for people, everybody who is getting this resilience into a challenge.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really very helpful for me. Thank you.
So nice. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening, sir. Sucheta Dhotier from Nagpur.
Hi, Sucheta.
Yeah, sir. I was just going through your profile, and I could see that you are a self-made man. You have visited and taken so many sessions. So, I have two questions. The one that whatever position you are today, how could you reach to this position, struggling through all the steps in your life? And the second is, as a trainer, what do you advise? Going to the companies through vendor or approaching companies directly?
Wonderful. I will tell you my way that I have done. And today we also teach trainers how to market themselves through our program. So this is what I learned my way. I tell you, suppose when I was in Orissa, I was a very well-known trainer because hardly about 20-25 trainers were there. And Dr. Mangesh's name was really big. When I came to Bombay in 2015 and 2016, I was one in the ocean. Nobody knows me. So I decided certain plan where my name will be a brand. So what happens if you are not making your name as a brand, industry will not recognize you. So that's why when I decided that in Bombay I got to play, I actually decided where are the industries, who are the people. I made some background research. So one of the topic that I decided to do is called as instructional design. Because I know many trainers, they know about certain things. Instructional design is an area which many people are not very aware of. Another area where I decided to do programs for open for the market was something where Mr. Anurag is working on as psychometric assessments. Because, a lot of the time, trainers understanding a psychometric assessment, utilizing into the process and bringing people to development, that is something trainers should know. So what happens when I ran certain programs, gradually industries understood there is a guy who is doing these programs and the name becomes little popular. And you got to also get into certain forums. Suppose you are a member of a WhatsApp group and if somebody is asking a question, the answer you are giving, it has to be very, very research driven. The answer should let people see who is this guy who is writing. And believe me, certain works I did and then I found the market is understanding me. Third, you have to use certain words in your communication. Suppose the market understands certain words of competencies while they are doing the market, and certain competencies industries have called as result orientation, execution excellence, communication excellence. So these words, when you are communicating, consciously you got to use. So what happened? We all have talents. Industry has to recognize there is somebody who has got talent, and once they recognize, they will test, and those testing you have to be successful. So like that, the two double bind responses you would ask me, whether somebody will create their own market or will be connected to someone else. I tell you, our objective is to create a brand. It is always easier to create a brand when you get connected to a brand. That's why at the initial period of time, you have to be with someone. And as you are establishing, you have to also create your own brand without affecting the brand with which you are you are connected. That's how, because this is your parent who has given you an option. So always you have to be high about this. Along with that, create your own space without any conflict of interest, and you will find industry will recognize you. And that's something, wherever forum, wherever perspective you are, you be unique in those, and industry will identify you. And that's why you can make your space done over there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was really very fantastic insight you have given over the topic, and it's amazing. And actually, it gives a real sense of fulfillment conversing with you.
Thank you so much for your time and for answering all of these questions. With every question, we could see that your response was like so sincere and from the heart and so frank, and you gave us like all the details of what we should do as a trainer. You gave us like so many insights, and all these things will definitely help us a lot in our career. And you shared your own life with us, which is like really great. And everything that you shared with us has inspired us and motivated us to do better and to do better as trainers and to do better in life. And it's amazing to see that just the half an hour that we shared with you, we learned so much. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your presence here.
I wish all of you a wonderful life.
Thank you so much. I also want to share that this video will be aired. Please do like, share, subscribe and follow Coffee with TF by Training Frat. If you have any future questions, any further questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe and share. Thank you so much.